I'm in my office today and have the privilege of a visit from Marilyn Schlitz. She's the former CEO of the Institute of Noetic Sciences, also has been the director of research there. And we're doing a film together. It's called Death Makes Life Possible. So soon you'll be seeing a trailer here. And we want you to, of course, see the film when it comes out, and it's a project we're doing together. But today we want to talk about something that's very dear to my heart, and that is non-locality. So just right off the bat, what's non-locality?
Well, in quantum physics, they talk about this communication between isolated particles, and that they somehow are able to communicate non-locally or at a distance and beyond space and time. So the question is, does that apply beyond the level of subatomic particles? Can we begin to think about non-locality in terms of our relationships? Can we think about consciousness as something that transcends our brain, our body, and may have the capacity to reach out and connect with another person at a distance? This is a scientific question that we can look at under well-controlled circumstances.
And I believe that's what you've done in the past at the Institute of Noetic Sciences. Tell me about some of the things you've done on your own, and then actually we did an experiment together too.
Well, it actually started when I was at the Mind Science Foundation in San Antonio, Texas, working with William Broad, and we created a research protocol for looking at psychic healing. And so these healers all over the world and throughout history believe that they can use their mind and their intention to reach out and affect physical changes in another person. But the question is that wishful thinking? Is it some kind of placebo or expectancy effect? So the experiment we set up was to measure the physiology of one person. So you'd be in one room and I'd be monitoring your autonomic nervous system activity. And then a healer would be in another room, and at random times throughout the session, they're intending to influence your physiology. But you don't know when. And so what we're able to do at the end of the experiment is average the amount of physiological activity during the intention periods as compared to the control periods. And what we're finding consistently are significant differences in the physiological activity when somebody is intending for your well-being at a distance as compared to the control conditions. So the experiment that we did together was looking at you as the sender, looking at the image of somebody via closed-circuit television. That person's physiology was being monitored, and we were actually able to measure the correlation between your intention and this kind of non-local exchange of information measured by the physiological activity of the distant person. And that study did extremely well, and the study seems actually to produce a stronger effect than things like the prevention of second heart attacks by taking aspirin. And that's something that the mainstream has readily accepted and even called off the clinical trial early because they didn't want to deprive people of the control group. The effect of this non-local exchange of information under well-controlled, randomized protocols is every bit as powerful as that.
Because it's considered out of the box, because it's considered quote-unquote psychic. So here's my take on that. My take is that actually there's no such thing as distance in space-time to begin with. That's a perceptual artifact. And it's a very interesting trick that our senses played on us. That right now, I'm here and you're there and there are people somewhere else watching us. When in fact this whole activity, you, me, somebody else, and the sun and the moon and the stars, the whole activity, the whole universe, is a single hollow movement. And what we call structures are actually snapshots of that movement. So, just like a particle is a snapshot of a wave. By the time we've seen the particle, it's not there anyway. And our perception is like that. Our perception is a snapshot of the activity of the universe. And in taking the snapshot, we mistake the snapshot for the reality. And then we try to figure out, how is this intention here affecting and having an effect there, when in fact in the totality, It's one gigantic non-local activity interacting with itself. So, when I send the intention there, actually I'm sending an intention to myself, and that myself is the whole activity instead of the snapshot of the activity. Does it make sense at all?
I think it's kind of the metaphors that we live by.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this notion of cause and effect. So one activity causes something else, when in fact it's more about a correlation. And there's this way in which we're embedded in a continuous stream of the something that's also the nothing. At the Institute of Noetic Sciences, we did an experiment looking at people, we called it the love study. And we recruited couples, one of whom had cancer. We took the healthy partner through a compassionate intention training program, and then afterward brought them into the lab to look at this level of interconnectedness. And could the healing powers of love transcend space and time in a way that shows the whole system as an integrated network? And we in fact found that. We found highly statistically significant correlations when the healthy partner was sending love to their partner, who happened to be in a 2,000-pound electromagnetically shielded room, very well-controlled circumstances. And so it does provide a kind of proof of principle for this interconnected, non-local embeddedness of each of us in something that's bigger than ourselves.
And therefore, we shouldn't even be calling these psychic abilities, because they're in fact an activity in a single system, and that system is already beyond space and time, and perceptual experience is what's creating space and time. Perceptual experiences, of course, species-specific, nervous system-specific. What we see is not what is. What we see is a reflection of the human nervous system. What a sparrow sees, or a mosquito sees, or a snake sees, is a reflection of their nervous system. Which one is the real reality? They're all perceptual artifacts. The real reality is the underlying field, which is non-local, that is creating these different perceptual illusions. I call it the reality illusion.
I think for myself, it's kind of the both and, that we, in a very real sense, feel our individuation, and at the core level, there's also this integration. So we can feel separateness. We have this sense of our own karmic path, or whatever our creativity is that's unique to us. But at the same time, that's where we get stuck. And so how do we recognize that beneath all of that is this interconnected whole? And that's the beauty, I think, of what you're describing.
Well, that was a great conversation, and it's already, the beginning of the conversation, not the end, but we'll call it off for now. And it's an introduction to what is psychic phenomena, what are psychic phenomena, and what is reality. Thanks, Marilyn.
Thank you.